Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I gotta be honest with you, the first time I recorded this today, I managed to do it entirely on mute. So I finished the puzzle today and this is a re-record. I'm sorry about that. Let's hope that it's faster the second time around. My first one took me 10 minutes. It is a tricky one today, and I didn't want to leave you guys without a video, so I decided to do a re-record, but just know that I already know the answer. This is gonna be a reenactment of sorts. So let's start today. Well, we have Alice telling us that Tina is one of 3 criminals in row 4. So Tina is a criminal. There's other 2 in row 4. And now Tina says that both criminals above Xavi are connected. So Tina is one of those criminals above Xavi, and the other person who is connected to her and also above Xavi is Kyle only. So that's the second criminal. And since there's 2 criminals above Xavi, that makes Gary and Chuck both innocents because the 2 criminals are down here. Now, Kyle says that an odd number of innocents above Zara neighbor Gary. Well, Zara is in column D down here, and she has 3 people above her who neighbor Gary. And it may be that 3 of them are innocent or just one of them. Those are the possible odd numbers neighboring Gary in column D above Zara. Gary says that exactly 1 innocent in row 4 is neighboring Xavi. Xavi is in row 5, and he has, besides Tina, Rob and Uma neighboring him in row 4. That makes one of them an innocent and the other one a criminal. And there's now 2 criminals in row 4. We know from Alice's clue that there's 3 total in that row, so Petra has to be the 3rd one. Now, Chuck says that exactly 2 of the 4 innocents neighboring Gary are in row 1, so we know that Gary is down here. And there's, besides Chuck, 2 people neighboring him in row 1. It's Diane and Bobby, and one of them is the second innocent since Chuck is the first one. Now we look at Petra's clue. Only one of the 3 innocents neighboring Chuck is above Uma. So above Uma, who is above Zara, there's 3 people neighboring Chuck. Oh, 2 people neighboring Chuck, sorry, and only one of them is an innocent. And since we know that only one of them is an innocent, but both of them neighbor Gary as well as Chuck, we know that Gary has only 1 innocent neighboring him in column D because of what we talked before. If it's only one of them, that's an odd number. If it's 3 of them, that's an odd number, but 2 of them wouldn't be an odd number. So Laura has to be a criminal as well because only 1 innocent neighbors Gary in column D. Now Laura says that only 1 row has exactly 3 criminals. That row is row 4, right? And how do we do the other rows with 3 criminals? Well, we gotta remember that Chuck has 3 innocent neighbors because of Petra's clue. So 3 innocent neighbor Chuck. One of them is here. The second one is Gary. And the other one is gonna be either Bobby or Flora, right? So what does that make Joyce? Because we know for sure that Gary has Chuck as his first innocent neighbor. The second one is either going to be Diane or Hank. The third one is either going to be Bobby or Flora. The 4th one is Joyce, for sure. Right? So she has to be an innocent. And that makes Ike not a criminal, because if Ike were to be a criminal, we would have 2 rows with 3 criminals. Row 3 and row 4. So Ike has to be an innocent as well. Now Joyce says there's an odd number of innocents neighboring Tina. Tina has 1 innocent neighbor already, that's Joyce, and a second innocent neighbor in row 4. So that's 2, she has to have at least 1 more. Ike says that Xavi has exactly 3 innocent neighbors. Xavi is down here, and we know that in row 4 he has only 1 innocent neighbor. To make 3, then both people who neighbor him in column D have to be innocents. That makes both Wally and Zara innocents. And now we know that Tina has 4 innocent neighbors currently because she has Joyce, Wally, Zara, and someone who's either going to be Uma or Rob to make 4 innocent neighbors. And that's an even number. So to make 5 and an odd number, Xavi has to be the 5th neighbor for Tina, who is an innocent. And now Xavi says there are more criminals in row 1 than row 5. We know that row 1 has 1 criminal only because Bobby and Diane are one or the other. So there's no way for row 5 to have 1 criminal or more. Or row 5 can't have any, so that makes Vera the final person in that row an innocent as well. And now Vera says that each column has at least 3 innocents. Well, which column doesn't have an innocent or 3 innocents yet? I guess column B and column D, but let's look at column D. Column D is going to have 1 innocent up here who's either going to be Diane or Hank. And it has Zara, so that's 2 innocents. The third one can only be Uma, so Uma is the third innocent in column D, and that makes Rob a criminal. Now Uma says there's an equal number of criminals in columns A and D, and we just figured out that there's 2 criminals in column D. One of them is Laura, the second one is either going to be Hank or Diane. That makes 2 in column A, and we already have Petra. The second one can only be Ethan, so Ethan is a criminal. Now Ethan says that an odd number of innocents on the edge is neighbor Gary. Where's Gary? Gary is here, and he already has Chuck as an innocent neighboring him on the edge, but we know that Diane makes both Hank and Bobby innocents if she is a criminal. Now how many innocents does Gary have on the edges? Hank, Chuck, and Bobby, that's 3. If it were the opposite, Diane were to be an innocent, both Bobby and Hank would be criminals. And that makes 2 innocents neighboring Gary on the edges. And that's an even number. So Diane couldn't be an innocent. She's a criminal then. And that makes both Hank and Bobby innocents. Now, since Bobby is an innocent, that makes Flora a criminal. And we are done. How long was that? Well, it wasn't that shorter than the other one, but that's funny. I'm competing with myself here with the percentages. So yeah, I'll leave this video here, and thank you so much for watching and for everyone that supports my channel every day. I'll be back here again tomorrow with more Clues by Sam, and I'll record it right next time. So see you tomorrow.